Okay, hopefully you've downloaded the proposed amendment at nat-ref.com, and I'm going to go ahead and try to explain to you the thinking behind each section of this so that you understand where I'm coming from and why it's written the way it is. The first section I'm going to cover, of course, is the contributors. Now, there's been a lot of talk about how we can limit or exclude corporations or for-profit corporations from manipulating our election process, from declaring corporations or legal entities non-persons, or a person, is this, or a corporation is not that, and so on. And there's a lot of extra wording and bullshit in there that just doesn't make sense. So, after about 15 minutes, it came to me that we can solve this contribution issue real easy. And that is by basically stating simply that election contributions to any local, state, or federal candidate for any elected office, or any political party involved in supporting or opposing the election of any local, state, or federal candidate must come from a living, registered voter. And the reason for that is only registered voters can vote, so they should be the only ones that can contribute to a political campaign. If you can't find 5 minutes to register to vote somewhere, then your money shouldn't be in the game, because you're not voting anyway. Once again, that's one of those things we need to fix. Also, under contributors, we've got no election donor may contribute to a candidate whose election will not be their direct representative. In other words, you can't donate to the campaign for the mayor of the next town, or the sheriff of the next town, or the governor of the next state, or the senator of a state clean across the country. And that's fair. I sure as hell don't want people from all over the country shoving money into my political system and overriding the voice I have here. Seems kind of unfair to me. Agenda or not, it ain't right. No contributor may donate to any legal entity that is not directly involved in the support or opposition to any legislation that does not directly affect the contributor. By that, we'll use, how about we use Prop 8 out there in California, where millions and millions of dollars poured in from all over the country to support the non-profit organizations out there that were pushing to get Prop 8 passed. Now, what California does is California's business. And what Indiana does in my case is Indiana's business. I don't have any right, and neither should anybody else, to take any action or donate to any legislative opposition or support structure in another state that does not directly affect my state. And by directly I mean, you can't make a law in California that affects me in Indiana. Now the other ones are a little more complicated, and wording's a little bigger than it should be, but it works. No legal entity may disseminate through any media form any information in support of or opposition to any local, state, or federal candidate for elected office. Legal entities will not be barred by this from supporting or opposing legislation proposed or supported by incumbent candidates, provided the information identifies all candidates the entity supports or opposes, generalizing the candidates by ideology, theology, political party are not permitted. Which means if you're going to get up there and oppose a piece of legislation somewhere, you can't say it's the Republicans' fault. You can't say it's the Democrats' fault. You can't say it's the Christian right's fault. You can't say it's the commies' fault. You can't say it's anybody's fault except for the actual person who will be either presenting or supporting the legislation that you oppose. And by naming names, it puts a lot more responsibility on the people making the claims. They basically got to say, this is who I am against, or this is who is for me, or for my cause. That simple. You can't just generally go, screw the Democrats, screw the Republicans, screw the Green Party or the Libertarian Party. It's all their fault. No. You have to name names. Any dissemination of information in support of or opposition to any candidate by a candidate's campaign or political party using any dissemination method must be endorsed by the candidate supported by such information. That means if you send out an ad, or your political party sends out an ad against your opponent, by God, your name better be on it if you're the person that they're running against. Anything less than that, boy, that leaves the door open for a lot of bullshit. In print or other non-motion mediums, the endorsement must be printed clearly and visibly. In motion and audio mediums, the endorsement must be audible and or visually included at the same intensity as the rest of the content. In other words, you can't knock the volume down to, what? When the whole commercial's at 12. Saying who supported it and who put it out there. Now the hard part. Well, we could leave this up to Justice Department, but don't trust them either, because Congressmen make the laws and they're not going to hurt themselves. So failure to comply with these rules will result in fines equal to 25% of the contributions received in the previous 12 months by the offending party. Fines are to be paid to the local, state, or federal Department of Education, depending on where the violation took place. Was it a local election, was it a state election, or was it a federal election for presidents and so on? Fines are to be paid prior to any further dissemination of information through media sources. In other words, till you paid up, you got to shut up. And that pretty much covers it. And I want you to understand, I don't want anybody not to be able to say what's on their mind. I don't want anybody not to select the candidate of their choosing. I don't want anybody not to be able to support their next door neighbor or friend for office. I just want to make goddamn sure that you're not supporting someone in my town when you live 2,000 miles away because your ideology says so. Or even better, how about California's ideology being forced on Iowa? Or Maine, or Florida, or how about we all just get Texified? There's the key, folks.